We're joined now on the line from Bucharest in neighbouring Romania by Clara.
Moldova's governing pro-Europe party is on.
If we have a referendum, I would vote for reunification with Romania. With those words, Moldovan President Maia Sandu just threw a diplomatic bomb that Moscow didn't see coming. In an interview released Sunday on the British podcast The Rest is Politics, Sandu became the first Moldovan president since independence to explicitly state she would support reunification, not as a distant theoretical goal, but as a necessary response to Russian aggression. Look at what is happening in the world, she explained. It is getting more and more difficult for a small country like Moldova to survive as a democracy, as a sovereign country, and of course, to resist Russia. This isn't just rhetoric. According to Wikipedia, Moldova and Romania expanded their defense cooperation agreement on June 21st, 2024, the day after Russia's invasion created urgent security needs. Around 1.5 million Moldovans already carry Romanian citizenship out of Moldova's 2.4 million population, meaning 62% of the country technically holds dual citizenship. Romania was the first state to recognize Moldova's independence in 1991, with Bucharest's government statement explicitly framing independence as a step towards reunification with Romania. And now, with Russia spending 400 million euros trying to capture Moldova through elections, Sandu is accelerating a process Putin thought he had years to stop. If you want to see how Moldova is slipping through Putin's fingers faster than the Kremlin can respond, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This is Europe's map being redrawn in real time. Putin's strategy for Moldova was simple: use hybrid warfare to keep the country weak, divided, and eventually pull it back into Russia's orbit. According to Sandu's own warnings before the September 2025 parliamentary elections, the Kremlin attempted to capture Moldova through the ballot box, to use us against Ukraine, and to turn us into a launch pad for hybrid attacks on the European Union. But the timeline accelerated catastrophically for Moscow. November 2024, Sandu re-elected president with 55%, despite Russia spending hundreds of millions on interference. September 2025, pro-European forces retained parliamentary majority after Moldova's parliament chairman said Russia spent close to 400 million euros to sway votes. 2022 to 2024, Moldova applied for EU membership. 2022, received candidate status, targets 2030 accession. June 21st, 2024, Moldova-Romania Defense Cooperation Agreement expanded. January 12th, 2026, Sandu publicly states she would vote for reunification. According to analyst Nicolae Negru on Moldova One's In Context show, this personal opinion resonated strongly, not just within Romania, but also in the European press. For the first time, Moldova's head of state publicly backed reunification, while Russia is actively waging war in Ukraine. This breaks the post-Soviet taboo. Sandu's logic is brutally pragmatic. Moldova is a landlocked country of 2.4 million people squeezed between Ukraine and Romania, with Russian forces occupying Transnistria, a breakaway region on Moldova's eastern border where 1,500 Russian peacekeepers have been stationed since the 1990s. According to reporting, Moldova faces sustained Russian hybrid campaigns, including cyber attacks, constant attempts to disable government infrastructure, disinformation, massive propaganda claiming EU occupation ahead of elections, election meddling, 400 million euros spent trying to install pro-Russian government, economic coercion, gas cutoffs, trade restrictions, blocking Moldova's exports, military threats, Transnistria used as forward staging ground for potential invasion. Moldova's defense budget can't compete with Russian hybrid warfare. According to Wikipedia, Moldova was part of Romania from 1918 to 1940 before the USSR annexed it through the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact's secret protocols. Moldova declared independence in 1991 as the Soviet Union collapsed, but independence without military power means vulnerability to Russian reconquest. According to analyst Robert Lupitsu on the In Context show, the Russian threat could be a significant reason for a historic decision to reunify the two Romanian states. Negru added, "This situation reflects a changing geopolitical context and a threat to the security of the Republic of Moldova, which aligns with Romania's interests." Reunification wouldn't make Moldova Russian, it would make Moldova NATO. Romania joined NATO in 2004 and the EU in 2007. If Moldova unifies with Romania, it instantly becomes a NATO member under Article 5 collective defense. Russian forces currently in Transnistria would be sitting inside NATO territory. The calculus transforms completely. But here's the political challenge. Sandu supports reunification while admitting there is not a majority of people today who would support the unification of Moldova with Romania. According to recent polling cited by Kyiv Post, only 1/3 of Moldovans support reunification with Bucharest. However, support has been climbing rapidly. According to Wikipedia, polls asking if a referendum took place next Sunday regarding the unification of the Republic of Moldova and Romania, would you vote for or against the unification, showed support rising from approximately 20% in 2015 to 44% in 2022. That's a 24-point jump in 7 years, driven by Russia's annexation of Crimea, 2014, and full-scale invasion of Ukraine, 2022. The pattern? Every Russian aggression pushes more Moldovans toward Romania. According to reporting, a poll conducted before Crimea's annexation showed 52% support for reunification when excluding Transnistria and Gagauzia, the two Russian-aligned regions. If those territories were excluded from a referendum, reunification could theoretically win. Support for reunification is much lower in Transnistria and Gagauzia than the rest of Moldova. But if those regions chose to remain with Russia rather than join Romania, it would actually solve Moldova's frozen conflict problem. Let the pro-Russian territories go, unify the rest with Romania and NATO, and end the ambiguity that keeps Moldova vulnerable. Romania isn't rushing toward reunification despite Sandu's statement. According to Caliber.az analysis from yesterday, Romanian analysts are cautious. Economic costs. Moldova is one of Europe's poorest countries. Reunification would require enormous costs to equalize infrastructure, education, and healthcare, with risk of increased social tension due to resource redistribution. Russian retaliation. Pushing the unification agenda could provoke a strong reaction from Moscow, potentially escalating into a hybrid war. Hungarian precedent. Hungary might demand autonomy for Hungarian minorities in Transylvania, similar to Gagauzia or Transnistria, creating risk of separatism. EU complications. The Union demands stability rather than territorial revisions in Eastern Europe. According to Romanian political analyst H.D. Hartman, the Romanian people themselves do not support it. There is only a small group of unionists. A March 2022 survey showed only 11% of Romanians support immediate union, while 42% think it's not the right moment. But Romania's newly elected president, Nicusor Dan, supports Moldova's path. According to Wikipedia, Dan expressed personal support for unification with Moldova during a July 2025 visit to Germany, while stressing he would respect the will of its citizens. He stated Moldova's primary goal is EU integration by 2030, with Romania supporting it diplomatically and operationally. What Putin likely missed: Romania doesn't need formal reunification to integrate Moldova militarily. According to Wikipedia, Moldova and Romania signed a defense cooperation agreement on April 20th, 2012, expanded significantly on June 21st, 2024. This creates joint training, intelligence sharing, and military cooperation that effectively puts Romanian forces in position to defend Moldova without formal annexation. Combined with 1.5 million Moldovans holding Romanian citizenship, 62% of population, Moldova is already functionally integrated with Romania in ways Putin can't reverse through hybrid warfare. According to reporting, even among Romanian politicians who formally support unionism, there is no unified plan for Moldova's integration. But integration is happening organically through citizenship, defense cooperation, and EU candidacy, regardless of formal unification. Scenario 1. EU integration without reunification, most likely. Moldova joins the EU by 2030 as an independent state. This satisfies most Moldovans' desire for European integration without triggering reunification debates. Romania supports Moldova's accession, gradually increasing integration through EU mechanisms. Russia loses Moldova to Europe without formal border changes. Scenario 2. Gradual reunification through EU framework, medium term. After Moldova joins the EU, reunification becomes reunification within the European Union, less threatening since both states already share sovereignty through Brussels. Support climbs to majority in Moldova as EU membership makes reunification less risky. Referendum passes sometime in the 2030s. Scenario 3. Crisis-driven reunification, if Russia invades. If Russia attempts military action against Moldova, similar to Ukraine in 2022, Moldova holds emergency referendum on reunification to trigger NATO Article 5 protection. Crisis bypasses normal political processes. Romania accepts despite costs to prevent Russian conquest. According to Negru's analysis, unification is perceived not just as a lofty ideal, but as a necessary response to Moscow's ambition to rebuild the Soviet Empire. The geopolitical context matters more than public polling. If Putin threatens invasion, reunification becomes survival strategy. Putin's strategy depended on time, keeping Moldova weak long enough to eventually install a pro-Russian government or justify peacekeeping intervention. But the timeline broke. 2022, Moldova applied for EU membership, triggered by Ukraine invasion. 2024, Sandu re-elected, defense cooperation expanded, pro-European parliamentary majority. 2025, parliamentary elections secured despite 400 million euros Russian interference. 2026, President publicly backs reunification as anti-Russian strategy. According to Wikipedia, over 140,000 Moldovans obtained Romanian citizenship between 1991 and 2009, with estimates suggesting 1 million requested it by 2009. Now, 1.5 million hold it. That's 62% of the population legally Romanian already. Putin thought Moldova would drift back into Russia's orbit through corruption, propaganda, and economic pressure. Instead, Moldova is drifting into Romania through citizenship, defense cooperation, EU integration, and a president willing to publicly support reunification to resist Russia. The faster Moldova moves toward Europe, the fewer options Putin has to stop it. And Sandu just accelerated the timeline faster than Moscow ever expected. This is Developing. Subscribe for updates on Moldova's European integration. Thanks for watching.